You can watch this show in full screen anytime by going down to this little box down here and clicking on it, and you'll open up to a full screen picture. Anytime you want to get out of that, just press escape and you can go back to the regular size. So we're talking to the owner of the Bayview Hotel, Christine. She's owned the place. How long have you owned the place?
9 years.
So she's owned it for 9 years, and she's had quite a bit of experience of her own in the place. So maybe you can tell us about one or two of them.
Sure. Well, first of all, when I purchased this hotel, the very first night I stayed here by myself. And I was in the very top floor, and I kind of got a little bit scared because I thought, well, geez, if anybody comes here and like attacks me or something, I'm better off just going downstairs and staying down. At least I can like walk outside and ask for help, you know, or scream for help, more like it. So, so I proceeded to. It was about 1 in the morning, and I couldn't sleep. So I came downstairs on the second floor. When I got to the second floor, I felt this very cold breeze. And I thought, oh my goodness, I thought the door was in the back of me had opened. And I turned around, I didn't quite see anyone, but I did see, it felt like the door was open and there was this coldness coming through, but I couldn't see if the door was open. So as I turned around, and I'm in the middle of the hallway between the back door and a mirror that was kind of in front of me further down. And I look in the mirror, and there's like a silhouette, and I smell like rose water. It was like a female. It was a silhouette of a female, and then I kind of got a little freaked out, and I start blabbing on and saying, you know, that we're a family of 7 people, and that, you know, we have lots of children here, and we're here to preserve the Bayview, and we really love it here. I hope that you accept. So I was talking to some kind of spirit, and I think I was talking to Amelia. Amelia has been the longest relative that's ever lived here.
Oh, okay.
So that was my first experience, you know, of seeing the silhouette, of feeling that real cold, you know, air coming through, and so that was one experience of that.
Right, because that's what they say is when you really get that cold feeling that there's something
Right,
there.
and I've gone into her room. Actually, there's a room that's named after Amelia, and sometimes I'll go in there and I'll just feel her. I'll feel that coldness, and I'll feel her presence there. So it's not like I see a real person, but I have that total presence of a person there.
Now, Amelia was one of the original owners of the place.
Right.
And what we found out is her husband left to.
No, her dad.
Oh, it wasn't Amelia, huh?
Her dad.
Her dad.
Her dad.
Her dad had left. Apparently, his wife was a little bitchy.
Oh, bitch.
I guess we found out. He
They call it
left.
fiery.
Huh? A little fiery.
Yeah.
So he left to go. Apparently, they own property, is what
Right.
happened.
Oh yeah, thousands of acres around.
And so they sold the property. Well, he took off with the money for 10 years.
Or some of the property, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's just
she,
100 acres.
she sat here waiting for him to come back for 10 years, and the
Yeah.
story goes that she died in the hotel.
Ah, okay.
And then he finally came back, spent all the money, came back kind of a pauper, derelict, and apparently died in the hotel too.
Oh yeah.
So that's what we found out
I'm
about
sure
that.
his spirit's here, and you will be speaking with Giovanni, who's had a lot more experiences than I have. One of the other experiences that I've had that I thought was really kind of confirming was that I, you know, for about, at the very beginning again, for about 6 months I'd go to bed before my husband did, Giovanni, and I about doze off and fall asleep. And then the very first time my bed started shaking. And I thought, oh, I got kind of scared. I thought, oh my God, we're having an earthquake. So I tried to click on the TV and find out if that was going on. But we're talking about a violent shake, not like, like this. It was more like, ooh.
Wow.
And I thought, for sure, I thought it was an earthquake. So I tried to click on, and there was nothing going on the TV. It was just regular shows. And so I thought, oh, there must have been a shaker. I'll find out tomorrow morning from the news, whatever. Okay, well, the next day, again, I go to bed, late at night, and I'm like dozing off again, and then my bed starts shaking. This went on for 6 months.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and the second time, I kind of freaked out. I thought it was an earthquake again, and it wasn't, and so I thought, well, maybe it's the train, because we have the train that goes by here at various hours of the night. And so I quickly, got my robe on, and I come down and I try to find the train on the second floor, but there was no train. So I thought, that's kind of strange. Well, anyway, it continued on. It continued on for like 6 months at least. And then I started believing, well, this has got to be the spirits playing with me, and I was talking to them and saying, guys, let me go to sleep, leave me alone and whatever. And so I'm now known for sure that it is the spirits.
No,
so
yeah.
one day, every night this is going on. So Giovanni and I happened to go to bed about the same time, and then I've noticed that he was like kind of having these crazy nightmares. He was like crying and screaming and whatever. And so at the time I was going to bed, my bed started shaking, and he was already kind of sleeping. And so I woke him up like this, and I said, Giovanni, did you feel that? And he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, and I said, well, I didn't want to tell you this, but my bed has been shaking every time I go to bed at night. I'm about to doze off and fall asleep, and the bed starts shaking. And I said, have you ever felt it? And he's like, oh, every night.
No kidding.
So he felt the same thing.
He probably just didn't want to tell you. It's scary
away
from this new
yeah,
place.
I didn't want to tell him, and he didn't want to tell me.
Right.
And so, and that's basically what it was. So, but at this point in time, you'll have to interview him on his nightmare stories, because it has to do with a particular room in the hotel that he actually had to go in there and remove something, and then he can tell you all about it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's been an experience. And one other time that I must tell you that really confirms it all, and I think the spirits are very much like a guardian angel on my side. And that is, we had a very pompous chef that came from Chicago here, a very good friend of my husband. They actually started Il Fornaio together, this very famous restaurant in the whole California. And so they were very close. And his name is Luigi, and here he is. He had a heart attack in Chicago, and he's out here visiting us to recover. And so he slowly goes into the kitchen and tries to work with specials and so forth. And then my staff, who's had many experiences in the kitchen, start telling Luigi what's been going on, and how they've been pushed around with a big hot water and whatnot. And Luigi starts to mock them. And so one day, I open his mail by accident. And I go in the kitchen, and I said, Luigi, I'm so sorry, I accidentally opened your mail. Oh my gosh, he flipped the lid, started calling me a bunch of bad names, and my mouth just dropped. I couldn't believe myself that he was blurring out all this horrible, horrific sounds of profanity in front of my staff.
Wow. Well,
that very same night, and this kind of confirms the fact that I think the spirits try to protect me. It was Monday Night Football, I'll never forget it. And I'm actually not even watching, I was just doing paperwork at the end of the bar, and Luigi's coming. He had gone to bed, and it was about 8:30 or so, and he goes to his room to watch the football game, and then he, I guess, dozes off and sleeps. About 8:30 or quarter to 9, he's coming down the steps, right underneath my doorway, I see him, and he has like powder all over his hair, and a ripped shirt, like a night shirt. And I looked at him and I said, God, Luigi, are you all right? And he's like, he was like startled and didn't know what to say. And he said to me, well, I don't know, but there was like an angel-like girl, boy, and it came down on me. Well, wow. I set him down. I said, Luigi, sit down. I'm going to go see what you're talking about. So I set him down on the stairway. I ran upstairs to his room. And wouldn't you know it, just above the head of where his head was in the bed, the whole plaster and ceiling fell on him.
No kidding. Wow.
Now that's, to me, it's a
Wow.
sign, like, don't mess with me.
Don't mess.
Don't mess with me.
Right, right,
And
right.
that's been also, I've had that experience with some guests that have been kind of
And
not
kind
treating
of
me well.
obnoxious guests.
Right, and
Ah.
that, they've had different experiences.
So we kind of have friendly,
We have, yeah.
cranky-friendly ghosts.
Well, I tell you, I've had many instances where I think that they've really protected me in many ways.
Mm.
So I'm confirming that,
Yeah.
because that's never happened to me before.
Yeah.
Your
No, that's
guardian,
good.
guardian
Yeah.
angels.
Yeah,
it
so
sounds
it's
like.
like
Yeah,
like guardian
like-
angels,
yeah,
guardian
yeah.
spirits.
And I think it's the children.
Yeah.
And there's another instance with my husband, he will tell you about those.
Okay.
But
Good.
yeah, I really believe, and I just, there's many, many stories that I've
Good,
experienced,
good.
and that confirms the fact that I really believe in spirits,
Mm.
especially those who are here. I've never had experiences before, but I do feel very comfortable at the Bayview Hotel, and I feel that they really are happy that I'm here.
Mm, good.
So,
Good. Good.
that
Good.
makes me feel good.
Well, good. Well, hopefully we're going to be catching some of them,
We have already
and we'll
done.
find out. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for
Yeah.
being here, and hopefully they'll treat you well, and everything will be,
I want to thank you for letting us be here.
oh, no problem, my pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
We
Thanks.
don't allow any Ouija boards, just like.
No Ouija boards. We don't do Ouija boards.
No, we don't.
We don't do Ouija boards.